Man, you better stop playing on my top, man. Y'all know it's sport, man. I'm 10 toes down. I hold it down, stay solid. They hate it. Forward to control, they quick to praise it. I'm a young G, just skated for license.
I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
He decides to flip and become a cheese eater.
As a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless.
The footage of Melly's reaction to Bortlen accepting a plea deal in court has surfaced. Headlines confirmed Bortlen took the deal. Not only that, but he also agreed to a proffer, meaning he's officially talking. His conviction is accessory after the fact, carrying 10 years in prison plus 6 years of probation, minus the time he has already served. What raised eyebrows was an email entered into the court system, which read, "Given Mr. Henry's plea deal and proffer agreement, we are concerned for his safety and request placement within 30 days. In simple terms, prosecutors feared Bortlen wouldn't survive his cell block before testifying against Melly. Soon after, a message from Bortlen behind bars began circulating.
Man, you better stop playing on my top, man. Y'all know it's sport, man. I'm 10 toes down. I hold it down, stay solid. They hate it. Forward to control, they quick to praise it. I'm a young G, just skated for license. But I look like taking the deal that hurt my. I look like giving a about how y'all feel. I'm a young fly. Be back to raising and prevail. Damn, why they want to take that L? Don't you know you can see the dirt for even speaking that L? It's the sport name a part of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. YNW for L, never be stopped. Let's stop playing on my top like y'all know what the going on, man. Hey, free me in, Melly, boys.
But DJ Academics exposed the bigger picture, pointing out that Bortlen tried to dodge the snitch label. However, his deal tells a different story. The judge explained that for both charges Bortlen pled no contest to, he must still provide a factual basis, basically narrating the details of how he acted as an accessory. This doesn't just confirm the crime happened, it applies direct pressure on Melly. It's not just a plea, the judge wants him to sing every detail.
People are upset. I said this is a gunner plea. This is a gunner plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gunner plea. Why do I say he signed a gunner plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they are proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortlen, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. Oh my God, my dog's crying. What that proved is that Bortlen worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know that? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive-by.
Bortlen's testimony would officially confirm that Sackchaser and Juvie were taken out. And since Bortlen is no longer charged, that leaves Melly as the only man standing at the scene. What shocked the courtroom most, though, was the judge himself admitting, "I don't know how your lawyers managed this deal."
It's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? Yes. And that resolution is an agreement you've reached with the state, the terms of which are as follows. Number one, in the 19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null process, that is, drop the 2 first-degree. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison.
Bortlen is incredibly fortunate. What could have been 5 life sentences has now been reduced to just 6 years in prison and 6 years of probation. This twist even caught the attention of celebrity lawyer Bradford Cohen, best known for representing Lil Wayne and Kodak Black, who commented that Bortlen had taken the cheese and was likely preparing to flip on Melly.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip. And it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.
Even 6ix9ine chimed in, confirming publicly that Bortlen had accepted his plea deal with prosecutors.
Lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be. What I want you to understand, sir, is I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you've negotiated is the deal you've negotiated, and that's the ballgame. Do you understand all that, sir? Have you had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that? They've answered all your questions? You're sure that that's what you want to do?
6. Then Offset jumped in on Twitter, writing that Melly's best friend had turned against him. Free that boy. He's been locked up way too long. Still, Bortlen had little choice. When the judge went over the mountain of charges and potential sentences he faced, the plea seemed like the only way out.
Mr. Henry, do you understand the offer that the state is making to you? Okay, you're charged as follows. Counts 1 and 2 is the first degree with a firearm. Those are capital felonies, which means it's a mandatory life sentence. If the jury convicts you of count 1 or count 2 as charged, that's life in Florida State Prison. I have no discretion. Count 3 and count 4 are accessory after the fact to murder in the first degree. Those are each first degree felonies. The maximum penalty for each of those is 30 years in Florida State Prison. Count 1 is tampering with a witness in a capital felony. That is punishable by life in Florida State Prison. Is directing the activities of a criminal, that's a first degree felony punishable by life. So the maximum penalty there is also life in Florida State Prison. Count 5 is conspiracy to commit tampering. And again, as it's charged, that is also a life felony. As to all the charges that you're facing, the maximum possible penalties are as follows. Life in Florida State Prison, followed by 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 75 years in Florida State Prison.
Prosecutors believe this plea is the missing piece to convict Melly. There were countless unanswered questions about what really happened that night, and now Bortlen is in a position to clear things up. Back on the night of the crime, he gave an interrogation, meaning he can testify directly about what really went down.
Like just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And it's a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay? You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly?
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want to be.
But when detectives asked if he knew who committed the crime, Bortlen didn't answer out loud. Instead, he simply shook his head no. He was terrified his body language would expose a lie. From the start, it was clear Bortlen didn't want to be dragged into this case. He just wanted out. The feds already suspected Melly as the prime suspect, and their messages backed it up.
TC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
Despite all this, Melly stayed confident. Even from behind bars, he ordered a $100,000 chain as if nothing could stop him.
Assume
But it's still,
that he spent a lot of money on lawyers. like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry and you're not here to wear the jewelry?
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend
That's
money
what
on.
bro. But he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, there was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro. And now it's like, he don't even want the chain no more.
But here's the twist. The feds only got Bortlen to agree to the plea after Melly's retrial was postponed yet again. The Court of Appeals granted a stay, pushing his trial all the way to January 2027. On top of that, a no-communication order was issued, completely cutting Melly and Bortlen off from each other. No conversations, no lawyer discussions, nothing. That silence gave prosecutors the upper hand. Without Melly's team convincing him to stay solid, Bortlen realized he wasn't about to spend his life behind bars for something he didn't do. The deal became a no-brainer. Making matters worse, during Melly's first trial, his defense tried to pin the crime on Bortlen.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
They argued Bortlen was the last person with Sackchaser and Juvie, since he drove them to the hospital. Investigators also pointed out gunpowder residue on Bortlen's hands, evidence that placed him right there when shots were fired.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of shot residue and two component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of shot residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was shot residue present on the hands.
12. That's when Bortlen realized Melly was throwing him under the bus. His response was cryptic, tweeting, "Mind games don't work on people like me," with a handshake emoji, hinting he was ready to cut a deal. His decision only became clearer when witness tampering charges hit him.
His co-defendant YNW Bortlen was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortlen, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortlen allegedly tampered with the witness.
13. One of those charges involved photos showing where jurors sat in court, along with detailed descriptions of their appearance. Even academics called him out for how reckless that was.
Keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortlen, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
Beyond testifying about the shooting, Bortlen is also expected to finally explain why Fredo Bang picked Melly up off the side of the road, just minutes after the murders.
And Chris Thomas are... So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location, to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens, then about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone call.
Things grew worse for Melly when prosecutors added a possible street gang motive to the case. If the judge accepts it as an aggravating factor, it could mean an even harsher sentence. They even tied Melly to Young Thug's crew, known as the Red Street Team.
The use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has the big B hand signs displayed.
Okay, and see individuals again. I'm assuming that's also the Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
When the feds pushed to bring this evidence in, Melly snapped at his own lawyers. Surprisingly, he wanted the evidence admitted, hoping it would keep his trial from being delayed further.